guns. They want to take away your health care. They want to take away your vote. They want to take away your freedom. They want to take away your judges. They want to take away everything. We can never let this happen. We're fighting to drain the swamp, and that's exactly what I'm doing. And you see why we have to do it. Because our country is at stake like never before. It's all very simple. They're trying to stop me because I'm fighting for you, and I'll never let that happen. For many years, people have wanted the proper wall, and we have a wall that the likes of which very few places have ever seen. And I want to thank all of the people, General Semonite from the Army Corps of Engineers. We're working very closely with them. I want to thank Kevin and all of your staff, because what they've done is beyond. And I wanted to show you some of the details of the wall. You can see a pretty good view. This is going to be close to 500 miles by the time we finish. Those are the areas that are most important. After we're completed that should be done pretty close to next year. It'll be over 400 miles, and we think we can get it close to 500 miles by the end of next year, depending on certain terrain conditions. But we're doing all of the most important areas. We have a lot of natural barriers like mountains and streams and rivers, and some pretty vicious and violent rivers actually. But it's an amazing project, and I think what I'd like you to do is if you could explain the interior of these pipes. The wall is 30 feet high. We also have 18-foot wall. We have a combination of 30 feet and 18, depending on the area, depending on the importance. Tijuana is right over here. There are thousands of people over there that had been trying to get in. Tremendous cooperation from Mexico, and the president of Mexico has been fantastic. All of Mexico has been fantastic. As you know, right now they have 27,000 soldiers. So in addition to the wall, we have the soldiers. Now the wall still obviously has a ways to go, but we're building it at a breakneck speed. I wanted them to show you the interior of parts of the wall and what's inside of each individual slat. And you'll see it's a combination of steel, concrete, and as one of the folks just said, it really is virtually impenetrable. Any walls that were put up would get knocked down very quickly, very easily. This wall is not something that can be really knocked down. I guess anything can, but this is very tough. And it goes down 6 feet. It's 3 and 4 feet wide. The concrete, you see it right here, it's exposed. And I might ask General Semonite to say a few words about it. And I'd like to bring them right up, look at the inner tube to see what happens, because after the wall is up, we pour concrete, and concrete goes into the tube. And in addition to that, we have rebar. So if you think you're going to cut it with a blowtorch, that doesn't work because you hit concrete. And then if you think you're going to go through the concrete, that doesn't work because we have very powerful rebar inside. So it's a very powerful wall, the likes of which probably to this extent has not been built before. This is an area, because it's so highly trafficked, this was one of the most dangerous areas. We have a double wall. We have a wall on both sides. One is 18 feet. That's your border, and the other one is 30 feet. And everybody, if they should be able to make that, this is where people are waiting for them. It's a very powerful situation. So, General, maybe you could take over for a couple of minutes, and then I'll take it back.
So, Mr. President, I want to build on your comments. This is a system. It is both the two walls, but it also is road networks down through the middle and the back, so that Customs and Border can go ahead and continue to be able to move around it. Also, lighting system. And as you think about this, I mean, it really is kind of a defense in depth. When you think about these panels going up, right now we're putting in about 270 panels a day that are going in the ground. We've got over 44,000 panels that are already built. And you think about the depth of how we're doing it. Without getting a lot of details, 66 miles today are already completed. There's 251 miles that are under contract going in the ground right now at 17 other sites. There's 163 miles that are actually on contracts that are going to be let in the next 90 days. And the remainder of the miles the President talked about is mainly private land, it takes a little bit longer to get. One of the things I want to just remind you about, when you have a football field, kind of a flat area like this, it's a little bit easier to build a wall. But if you just turn around and look at the mountain behind you, one of the projects is going to go up in the next year, continues this barrier right up over the rest of that mountain. So it goes back to be able to, we've got to have this linear capability to be able to continue to provide that level of defense. We will talk, this is what the bollards look like, 30 feet high on the backside, and you'll see on the inside there was the time
Come on over here if you want. You can bring the cameras. It's sort of interesting.
where people were worried that maybe you could negotiate through the ballard. So what the ballard is now, again, is that there are two pieces of rebar, 12 feet long, that are inside the ballard. And then when we put it up, we put concrete in. I won't tell you the depth of the concrete, but it's a pretty substantial obstacle to be able to go through. And I would defer to you, Commissioner, for anything else you want to add?
Yeah, thanks, General. So a very important part of this, and that's why the President was talking about the general. Right here, what the wall gets is it gets the men and women of CBP, specifically Border Patrol, operational capacity to get to the area where people are trying to illegally cross. Before the old landing style, they could cut through that in seconds. Sometimes they could come a vehicle and just knock it over, and literally within seconds, they were into the United States illegally. This makes it almost impenetrable. Right now, they've had 4 attempts to cut through this. All 4 times it's failed. Border Patrol's been able to respond and interdict those individuals. This right here, this design, it's a game changer.
And the reason we pour the concrete afterwards is because it's too heavy to lift when the concrete's poured in. So we put it up and we pour the concrete. A lot of people don't see that, but we pour the concrete afterwards. So you have the rebar, you have the steel, and then you have concrete, and it's hardened concrete, very powerful concrete. What is that, 4,000 pounds or 5,000 pound concrete?
5,000, sir.
That's a very strong, that's a very powerful concrete. And a lot of technological advances have been made with concrete. It sounds pretty simple, but it's not. It's a very powerful concrete. So you have the rebar, you have the outer crust, and you have the inside is concrete, and it's pretty amazing. And again, the concrete's poured after it's up. They pour it through funnels and cover much of the territory of the bollard.
Mr. President, also, this is a great view to look at the anti-climb. I defer to the Commissioner to explain what that panel does.
Hey, you know what? I'd actually turn this over right now to our Chief Patrol Agent right now, Agent Harrison. He's really going to be able to give you, from an agent's perspective, exactly the magnitude of what this wall, the operational capacity gives the Border Patrol agents.
Thank you, Commissioner and Mr. President. So you know, sir, this is the wall that the agents asked for. And they wanted me to tell you personally that they appreciate this, and not only this here, but the extension that it's bringing the secondary out, further out. They really appreciate it. It makes them safer, it makes the community safer, and it allows us to make that apprehension here in the border zone, as opposed to getting in vehicles and getting in pursuits on the highway. We want to make that apprehension here.
Well, you know, just in terms of the quality, I came with the Border Patrol. We worked with them very closely. I said, fellas, how about doing a less expensive version? They said, well, this is the version that works, including the poured concrete in the steel with the rebar and everything else. That's the Rolls-Royce version. And I said, well, fellas, how about doing one wall instead of 2? In a lot of areas we have 2, where you have tremendous amounts of people on the other side trying to break through. We know exactly where those areas are. Tijuana being over here, as I said. And they said, well, sir, 2 works much better in these areas, a lot more expensive. So we have it, the one side